The world ended, and no one noticed at first. There were no earthquakes, no mushroom clouds, no alien invasions. Instead, it came quietly, like a shadow across the sun. One morning, you woke up, reached for your phone to check your balance, and saw zero. You shrugged, maybe an app glitch. Then your neighbor screamed the same thing, and the store clerk, and the gas station cashier. No one had any money, not a single cent, not physical, not digital, not even the ultra-rich. Money did not just lose its value, it ceased to exist. What began as confusion spiraled into an irreversible collapse. You are now living in the first hours of a world with no currency, no credit, no economy. A world where your survival will no longer depend on how much you own, but how quickly you can adapt to chaos. This is not a simulation. This is your future, and you are not ready. Let's take you there, step by step, moment by moment, as we travel into a future where everyone suddenly has $0, and why you will not survive. It is the year 2027. Inflation has already been eating away at global economies, and debates about universal basic income and decentralized finance have consumed politics and tech forums alike. But no one expected this. On a seemingly ordinary Friday morning, a synchronized global anomaly strikes. At exactly 7 a.m. UTC, every digital ledger, every central bank reserve, every cryptocurrency wallet, every cash reserve in every physical vault, gone, wiped clean. Governments scramble to understand the breach. Was it cyberterrorism, a rogue AI, divine judgment? The answer never comes, but the outcome is clear. Every human being on Earth, regardless of class, country, or currency, now has a net worth of zero. Panic begins slowly. People flood banks, only to find them sealed. Police forces, unpaid and overwhelmed, begin deserting their posts within 24 hours. By day 2, supermarkets and gas stations are being looted with surgical precision. By day 5, food trucks stop running. No one is paying the drivers. Hospitals turn away patients. Airplanes are grounded. Power grids begin failing from unpaid maintenance crews. The world is unraveling at every level. In just 1 week, the monetary thread holding civilization together has completely disintegrated. And you are still trying to grasp the reality. You thought your education, your job, your savings would keep you safe. But money was the invisible skeleton that held up everything you rely on. And now it is gone. All of it. Forever. What replaces it is not community or barter or utopia, but desperation, violence, collapse, the survival of the most brutal, the most adaptable, the most prepared. And you, caught in the middle of this unrelenting unraveling, are about to find out just how fragile civilization really is. Let us begin where it all started, at the moment when the zeros appeared and everything you knew about the world vanished. You open your eyes to a blinding sun slipping through half-closed blinds. It is 7:05 a.m., and your phone alarm failed to go off. Bleary-eyed, you reach for your device and instinctively check your banking app. A loading screen spins, then a red warning blinks across the top. Balance, $0. You freeze. It must be a bug, you think. Maybe an update gone wrong. But within moments, alerts start pouring in from your news feed. All accounts show zero worldwide. All assets frozen. Central banks silent. Global panic underway. You feel your chest tighten. You check your crypto wallet. Zero. Your cash saving app. Zero. Even your emergency backup card. Zero. You tear open your drawer, grab a few bills of cash, only to turn on the TV and see that stores are no longer accepting currency, claiming all money has been invalidated. As minutes tick by, the world collectively realizes that this is not an isolated technical failure. It is a full-spectrum collapse, whether orchestrated by some digital virus, an untraceable AI worm, or a deeper flaw in the monetary system itself. Every account on Earth now reads zero. No wages can be paid, no loans repaid, no trades processed, no debts collected, no purchases made. Emergency meetings across government halls show leaders whispering into earpieces, their faces losing color with each update. People flood banks in confusion, but the doors are locked. Armed guards block the entrances. Some just walked away. No paycheck, no post. Within hours, the atmosphere outside shifts. People talk to one another on the streets, not in friendly conversation, but with a kind of shared hysteria. A man screams at a grocer for refusing him baby formula. A woman sobs in front of an ATM. Families sit in running cars outside banks, unsure what to do. It is as if time has cracked open, and every rule that held the world together is leaking out. Government spokespeople issue vague statements, promising investigations, urging calm, but they avoid using one word: money. The stock markets closed, the Federal Reserve and the IMF silent. World leaders. They vanish behind closed doors and military barricades. You get the eerie feeling that even they have no idea what happened. You try calling your boss. The line rings, then fails. You email your bank. No reply. You consider driving to your workplace, but the gas station near your street has a sign: nitrogen monoxide system. People are yelling at the clerk inside, waving cash and cards and watches as barter. The clerk just points at the register, which is turned off. You get back in your car and sit in silence. For the first time in your life, you realize something terrifying: your money, the invisible lifeline to everything you rely on, is not just gone. It never had real value to begin with. It was always belief, numbers, systems built on trust. And now that trust is broken, by nightfall, streets that were once bustling with commerce are now quiet and eerie. Restaurants are dark. Atimas are vandalized. Police cars sit empty, engines still running. Helicopters pass overhead. People begin gathering in neighborhoods, hoarding supplies. Someone breaks into a local supermarket. No one stops them. In fact, people begin joining in. By midnight, the looting has spread to every commercial district. What starts as grabbing food becomes grabbing everything: appliances, tools, clothing, even gasoline. And no one seems to know who is in charge anymore. In your apartment, you stack canned goods and fill your bathtub with water. The internet still works, for now, but social media is full of live streams showing collapsing order. Airports shut down, store shelves stripped bare, police resigning in mass. You scroll past a headline that sends a shiver down your spine. This is not a recession. This is the end of capitalism. You do not sleep. You stare at the door, expecting someone to break in. You wonder how long before your neighbors stop pretending to be friendly. You clutch a kitchen knife and realize just how far society is about to fall. And the worst part, this is only the first day. But survival does not begin with panic. It begins with hunger. And when you wake up tomorrow, it will not be money you miss. It will be food. Let us step into the next 48 hours, where your stomach becomes your greatest enemy. It is now day 2. Your body aches from the tension of staying alert all night. You stare out the window and see smoke in the distance. The grocery store across the street is nothing but shattered glass and splintered wood. People walk out carrying armloads of whatever they can find, boxes of cereal, jugs of milk, packs of raw meat, some even grabbing frozen food despite the uncertain state of electricity. You grab your backpack and cautiously step into the chaos. The air smells like burnt plastic and sweat. Crowds have overtaken what used to be the heart of community shopping centers. Supermarket doors are unhinged. Shopping carts are now defensive tools used to push through the madness. There is no order, no management, no staff in uniforms, only desperation. You see a man slamming his fists into a vending machine, a teenager crying over a crushed bag of rice, and a woman defending a single gallon of water like it is sacred. No one looks at each other. Trust has vanished. Everyone moves like predators, eyes darting, shoulders hunched, backs never exposed. Behind the scenes, the real collapse has begun. Distribution centers sit idle because no one is paying truckers. Gasoline depots are on lockdown because fuel has become a new form of power. Farms are in stasis, crops go unharvested, livestock untended, and without fuel, nothing moves. Cities, designed for just-in-time inventory, run out of perishables in under 48 hours. Without deliveries, there is no replenishment. There is only what is left on shelves, and it is rapidly disappearing. You witness a scuffle break out over a single can of beans. 2 men, both wearing business suits, stained with dirt and sweat, scream at each other like animals. Another swings a metal object. Blood spatters onto linoleum. You turn away and move deeper into the store, your heart racing. You find a small bag of dried lentils and a dusty box of powdered milk. You grip them tightly, as if they were gold bars. A child clutches their mother's coat, begging for snacks. The mother kneels beside a looted freezer, eyes glazed over in defeat. There is no food left for them. Outside, pop-up fires dot the street corners. People huddle around them, cooking stolen meat on shopping cart grates. Some wear bandanas, forming groups to defend their resources. The trucks that once stocked these places are now abandoned on highways, looted or stripped for parts. Drivers, unpaid and unprotected, have fled or been attacked. The supply chain, the invisible system that fed billions, has crumbled in less than 72 hours. You remember news stories about how fragile it all was. 3 missed meals away from anarchy, they said. You thought they were exaggerating. Now you know better. Hunger does not come slowly. You evaluate strangers not by their kindness, but by the weight of their grocery bags. You watch people run, not to save lives, but to beat others to the last remaining food trucks before they are overrun. Fights are common now. Deaths, too. There are no police, no medics, no order. He offers you a half smile, then points to a sign scrawled in charcoal behind him. $0 world. Eat or be eaten. You do not respond. You do not have the strength. You walk on, knowing that even if you manage to gather supplies today, tomorrow it will be worse. The food is finite. There is no replenishment. Gardens take months to grow. Livestock, if not already stolen or dead, cannot be fed. The longer you survive, the fewer the options. And everyone else knows this too. By nightfall, you return home with half a bag of dry goods. You boil water and ration out a small portion The taste is bitter, but your stomach settles. For now, you hear shouting downstairs. Someone is banging on doors, demanding food. You kill the lights and sit in silence, your back against the pantry. Your body is still, but your mind races. This is no longer about money. This is now about calories, about who eats and who starves. Civilization, once wrapped in wealth and comfort, is unraveling because no one can buy a loaf of bread. But hunger is only the beginning. In the cities where millions are crammed together with vanishing resources, desperation mutates into violence. Let us now step into the urban jungle, where survival becomes a war zone, and your neighbor may be your greatest threat. Day 4. The city no longer sounds like a city. The distant rumble of buses and morning traffic has been replaced by silence, broken only by screams, glass shattering, and the occasional echo of a distant explosion. You wake up to the smell of smoke seeping in through your apartment window. Someone set a fire overnight. Maybe it was for warmth. Maybe it was destruction. Either way, it is spreading. Outside, sirens wail without end, but no one responds. Emergency services have dissolved. Most officers and firefighters have fled, either to protect their families or to claim territory in what is fast becoming a brutal, open-air battlefield. The institutions you once trusted have gone dark. You cautiously descend the stairs of your building. The elevator stopped working yesterday. Graffiti has appeared on the walls overnight. Phrases like "money is dead" and "trade or die." A neighbor passes you carrying a crowbar, his eyes bloodshot and distant. You do not ask questions. You do not want to know. The lobby windows are smashed in. A shopping cart sits tipped over, blood smeared along the handle. This building used to be secure. Now it is a soft target, and people know it. The streets are no longer recognizable. Cars are abandoned, some stripped, some burned. Storefronts are gutted. Restaurants have been turned into makeshift kitchens for whoever has supplies. The smell of rotting food and burnt rubber chokes the air. Power outages have begun to ripple across neighborhoods, not from a lack of electricity, but because maintenance crews are gone. There is no one left to flip the switches, to repair the lines, to respond to blackouts. You see people huddled around barrel fires, holding makeshift weapons. Some wear ski masks, others walk shirtless, smeared in soot, daring anyone to challenge them. You keep moving, eyes forward, hands hidden. Entire blocks have become barricaded zones. Local gangs now act as warlords, demanding tribute in the form of canned food, batteries, or medicine. They patrol in groups, some with firearms, others with clubs and bats. They are not criminals anymore. They are governments enforcing their own rules. Some neighborhoods form community protection groups, but most are disorganized and crumbling. Every person you pass sizes you up, not for conversation, but for threat, or for what you might be carrying. You hear a woman scream 2 blocks away, followed by a gunshot. No one runs toward the sound. They only move faster in the opposite direction. A city without currency quickly becomes a city without mercy, without banks or wages or rent. The concept of ownership disintegrates. Apartments are broken into, stores looted again and again until only steel skeletons remain. Hospitals are abandoned, with graffiti scrawled across their signs. Don't come here. Even water becomes contested. With treatment plants unstaffed, faucets begin running dry. People siphon rainwater from gutters. You see a man filling bottles from a park fountain, then threatened by a group who claims it as their turf. The city, once regulated by contracts and laws, is now ruled by those who can enforce power with fists or bullets. You return to your street only to find a familiar face, your building's landlord, now sitting on the curb with a baseball bat and a 1,000-yard stare. He does not ask for rent. He only asks if you have food. You give him a stale protein bar, and he begins to cry. You walk past him and lock your apartment door behind you. Locks mean little now, but they offer a momentary illusion of safety. That night, you hear shouting in the hallway, doors being kicked in. You wedge a chair under your doorknob and sit with your back against the wall, heart pounding. The city outside has become a maze of danger, ruled by hunger, fear, and primal survival. You no longer recognize where you live. The skyline remains, but the spirit of civilization has vanished. Money used to be the oil that kept everything moving. Now, with that oil drained from the machine, every gear grinds against the next, producing only sparks and violence. You realize this is not a temporary outage. This is the new normal. And you, a civilian with no training in survival or combat, are not ready for what comes next. The city has become a crucible, and most will not make it out. You thought digital currencies or crypto might save you, but now even the tech-savvy elites are fleeing. Let us move now into the realm of broken networks and failed digital dreams, where every virtual dollar evaporates like a ghost. It is now day 6. You sit in front of your powerless laptop, watching the spinning wheel of your once reliable internet connection struggle to load anything. The power flickers, the router groans, and then everything goes dark. The screen, once your portal to the world, now reflects only your hollow expression. You switch to your phone, praying the cellular network is still active. It is barely. You open your crypto wallet, balance 0. You refresh, same result. You check forums. Thousands of others are reporting identical failures, not just with Ethereum or Bitcoin, but Solana, Dogecoin, all of them. Even stablecoins that were supposedly tethered to real-world assets have crashed. Every blockchain ledger reads the same. No value, no liquidity, no movement. You remember the evangelists, the influencers, the podcasts that promised crypto would save the world when fiat collapsed. They were wrong. Without centralized financial infrastructure, the entire digital currency ecosystem has no rails to ride on. Miners have shut down. Servers are off. No gas fees are being paid. Wallets are inaccessible. Validators offline. You scroll through desperate Reddit threads where users beg for someone to confirm a working transaction. None exist. One user, claiming to be a millionaire last week, posts a photo of himself sleeping on a mattress under a bridge. Wallet full, stomach empty, he writes. But the collapse goes deeper than just money. Banking itself has died. No one can withdraw. No one can deposit. Credit cards are plastic relics now. The cloud-based financial system that linked trillions of dollars, stock portfolios, investments, insurance, mortgages, savings, it is all frozen. You try logging into your bank's website. Server unavailable. You dial their hotline. The line plays a pre-recorded loop. Due to extraordinary demand, we are unable to process your call. Please try again later. There is no later. Later has been canceled. You turn on the news if you still have power. A visibly panicked host whispers, the Federal Reserve has ceased operations. International banks have collapsed. Even decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, have crumbled. Their governance tokens rendered meaningless in a world where internet infrastructure is failing. Without miners, without validators, without electric grids to sustain the blockchain, the idea of a trustless digital economy has withered into a myth. In the absence of money, networks die. In the absence of networks, data becomes useless. And in the absence of data, all that remains is fear. The tech sector, once thought untouchable, is now exposed as an illusion of stability. Silicon Valley has emptied. CEOs flee by private jet to secret bunkers. Some try to barter their servers for food and protection. Others disappear entirely. A video circulates online showing a group of former engineers attempting to restart a data center in exchange for safe passage out of the city. They are turned away. No one wants a server anymore. They want antibiotics. They want shelter. They want a full belly. The age of information has ended. The age of necessity has begun. You once believed your greatest asset was your digital portfolio. You held altcoins, NFTs, tokenized assets. You had multiple exchanges bookmarked, wallets spread out for security. But none of it matters now. You cannot eat code. You cannot drink an NFT. You cannot trade Ethereum for fuel when the networks are down. And the people who used to laugh at doomsday preppers are now clawing at their doors. You walk past a data center on your way home. The windows are broken, racks of servers stripped down for copper. A man stands on the sidewalk with a cardboard sign, "Will code for food." No one looks at him. No one answers. Even the tech elites, once able to buy their way out of disaster, are now among the rest of you, stripped of status, of symbols, of access. Everyone now belongs to the same class, 0. You return home and throw your hardware wallet into the trash. You open your fridge and see the last of your perishable food going bad. The fan has stopped humming. The light is off. You have a few cans left, but you know they will not last. You once traded in futures. Now, your future is surviving one more day. If digital money could not save you, perhaps you hoped healthcare would, but the hospitals are crumbling now too. Next, let us walk into the dark corridors of the medical system, where the price of treatment is no longer money, it is survival itself. Day 9. You have developed a fever. It started yesterday with chills and a tightness in your chest. But now you are sweating through your clothes, and your vision blurs when you stand up too fast. You lie on your mattress, blanket soaked, body trembling, and realize you have no medicine, not even painkillers. You drag yourself up and wrap a towel around your shoulders, preparing to go out. You do not know if it is an infection, a virus, or dehydration, but you do know this: in a world where money no longer exists, healthcare is no longer a guarantee. It is not even a service. It is a luxury buried beneath panic and desertion. You walk slowly and dizzy toward the nearest hospital. The streets are thinner now. People either stay inside or have vanished to places unknown. Some buildings are boarded up. Others have been taken over by gangs and made into fortresses. When you finally reach the emergency room entrance, you are greeted not by doctors or nurses, but by a chain-link fence and a makeshift warning sign scrawled in red ink. Node supplies, node staff, node admittance. There are bodies near the front steps. You do not look closely inside. The lights flicker. The air smells of antiseptic and something rotting. You push through the double doors and find an empty reception desk. Papers are strewn everywhere. Monitors blink nonsense. The vending machines have been shattered, their contents long gone. You limp down the hallway, calling out, but no one answers. In the trauma ward, a gurney sits with dried blood still pooling around the wheels. You find a half-empty 4-bag still hanging, swaying slightly, as if someone had just let go of it. The truth becomes clear. The hospital has been abandoned. Not suddenly, but gradually. First, the administrative staff stopped coming, then the orderlies, then the nurses. Finally, the doctors gave up. Without payment, without security, and without access to pharmaceutical deliveries, they could do nothing. Their skills meant nothing if there was no medication, no electricity, no clean linens, no functioning equipment. A few may have tried to help, perhaps setting up makeshift clinics in their homes or trading care for food. But most were forced to make the same choice as everyone else: survive. You enter the pharmacy storage wing. The door is already broken in. The shelves are empty, save for a few expired syringes and crushed pill bottles. You find a bottle of antibiotics, but the label is worn away and the contents unclear. You pocket it anyway. Better something than nothing. As you step outside again, the sun feels harsher, the air more difficult to breathe. You know the fever is rising. You know that your chance of recovery is slipping away. Back on the street, you see a man collapsed beside a dumpster. His leg is twisted at an unnatural angle. He reaches out and croaks something, but you cannot hear him clearly. No ambulance will come for him. No one will. In a world without money, there are no salaried first responders, no triage systems, no operating budgets for emergency care. There is only survival, and survival is cruel. Some people attempt to form underground health groups, trading food for services, but they are few, overwhelmed, and mostly untrained. The black market for medicine is growing, but prices are no longer set in dollars. They are set in suffering. A single bottle of antibiotics may now cost 3 days of food, or worse, a night of forced labor for a local militia. People barter, not just with supplies, but with dignity. Medicine becomes a currency, and you, without either, are left with fever dreams and fading hope. Back in your room, you lie down again, your head pounding, your limbs too heavy to move. You drink the last of your clean water and close your eyes. There is no doctor coming. There is no nurse on call. There is no insurance, no plan, no billing department. All the layers of modern healthcare were built on a scaffolding of wealth and wage. Now, with $0 in the world, that scaffolding has crumbled. The hospitals are now tombs, and the sick are simply waiting to die inside them. When medicine fades and illness spreads, people look for alternatives, new systems of value, new leaders, new economies. But what rises from these ashes is not a peaceful barter system. It is a brutal, tribal, new order. Let us enter the black markets and war zones of this emerging chaos, where survival now runs on blood and bargaining. It is day 12. The world you once knew of ATM machines, Venmo, wire transfers, and minimum wage is no longer even a memory. The economic engine that powered the globe has not stalled, it has shattered. In its place, something raw and primal begins to form. You witness it as you step into what used to be a flea market parking lot, now transformed into a chaotic, open-air exchange zone. People move in circles around plastic tarps spread across the pavement, bartering batteries for rice, canned meat for antibiotics, soap for cigarettes. A woman holds up a bottle of painkillers and demands a jug of clean water. No one argues. They only trade. There is no consistency in value now. A single lighter can earn you 2 packs of dried noodles, while a bottle of bleach is bartered like liquid gold. Flashlights, first aid kits, canned goods, and bullets have become the hard currency of this new economy. There are no written prices. Value is determined by desperation and dominance. The law of supply and demand has evolved into the law of survival and threat. No one trades without a weapon in sight. Even children carry blades in their belts. You do not speak unless spoken to. You do not look anyone in the eye for too long. You are here to survive, not to socialize. Some try to maintain a sense of order. Former entrepreneurs and shop owners attempt to set up structured trading posts, but they are quickly taken over by gangs and armed collectives. These groups control territory now. They decide who can trade and who is turned away. If you are not useful to them, you are invisible. If you are a threat, you vanish. Rumors spread of traders being dragged into alleys and never returning. Others come back without their shoes or with bruises that say more than any warning ever could. Trust is a memory. Barter is survival. Brutality is the rule. You return to your neighborhood to find that your building is now under new control. A group of armed locals has taken over the lobby and is charging rent in food and favors. If you want to live there, you need to contribute to their protection network. If you have no food or medicine to offer, they send you out with a list: batteries, propane, ammo. Bring something back, or you are on your own. You agree because you have no choice. The alternative is sleeping on the streets where the cold, the gangs, or the sickness will finish you. As days pass, the black markets begin to solidify into what some now call the survival markets. Makeshift bazaars appear in schoolyards, warehouses, and abandoned malls. Bartering becomes an art form. You learn to trade smart, to break items into smaller portions, to keep your best goods hidden until the final moment. You become a calculator of risk, constantly weighing whether it is better to keep your last can of beans or gamble it for a half-used lighter that could save your life later. Every decision feels like a knife's edge. Weapons are the most valuable currency now. A small pistol could earn you a week's worth of food. Ammo is traded in single rounds. Homemade knives are sold like kitchen tools. Violence is not just a threat, it is woven into every transaction. People bring bodyguards to trades, some even children trained to stand watch while the adults negotiate. You see a teenager no older than 15, carrying a crowbar and standing protectively over his mother as she haggles for painkillers. The innocence of youth died the same day the dollar did. There are whispers of places where order still exists: military compounds, remote communes, off-grid communities, but reaching them means crossing territories held by ruthless factions. And even then, there is no guarantee they will let you in. Every place with stability is now a fortress. You are either inside or out, and out here, there are no rules, only deals, weapons, and war. That evening, you manage to trade your last bar of soap for a pouch of dried beans. As you walk back under a darkening sky, you hear shouting behind you. You do not turn. You do not stop. You walk faster, clutching your pouch like a life preserver. When you reach your door, you find a stranger standing there, bleeding from the side. He begs you for help. You hesitate. Compassion is a cost you can no longer afford. You turn the lock slowly, step inside, and shut the door without a word. On the other side, the stranger screams once, then falls silent. You sit with your back against the door, food on your lap, hand on your knife. This is your economy now. Not one of wealth or trade or entrepreneurship, but of choices made in the dark, guided by fear and the desire to see one more sunrise. But as the adults adapt through desperation, what happens to the ones who never had a chance to prepare? Next, we enter the world of the young, the abandoned generation, growing up in a world with no money, no rules, and no hope. It is day 16. You have not seen a functioning school in over 2 weeks. The playgrounds are empty, except for makeshift tents and scattered trash. The laughter of children has been replaced by crying, coughing, and silence. In this new world, childhood is no longer a protected phase of life. It is a liability. The youngest members of society, once shielded by institutions and nurtured by structure, are now fending for themselves in the shadows of a crumbling world. And those lucky enough to still have guardians are watching their innocence dissolve day by day. You pass by what used to be an elementary school. The flag outside hangs motionless, stained by smoke. Inside, the classrooms are ransacked. Desks are overturned, lockers broken open, hallways smeared with spray paint and grime. A group of kids, no older than 12, are holed up in the music room. One of them carries a kitchen knife. Another wears a backpack filled with stolen granola bars and a flashlight with dying batteries. They eye you with suspicion, ready to run or strike. These are not students anymore. They are survivors. No more homework, no more recess, no more teachers reading stories under soft lights. Only the cold calculation of daily survival. Some children wander alone or in pairs, often barefoot and sick. Their parents are either gone, dead, or too weak to protect them. You see a young girl dragging a teddy bear through an alley, her lips cracked from dehydration. No one helps her, not because they are cruel, but because they have nothing to give. Food has become sacred, medicine rarer than gold. To care for someone else means risking your own survival, and that risk, for most, is simply too great. You realize quickly that the new society does not make room for the vulnerable. Those with families do not fare much better. Children who once had bedtime routines and screen time limits are now helping scavenge for supplies, learning how to recognize edible plants, how to boil water over open flames, how to run silently when the wrong people appear. Education has become tribal knowledge passed between survivors. There are no curriculums, only lessons written in scars and whispered in fear. How to barter without being cheated. How to hide during a raid. How to silence your cries at night so others do not hear. In makeshift communities and survival camps, a new generation begins to form. A generation with no memory of banks or birthday parties, no concept of allowance or cartoons on Saturday mornings. These children are hardened. Some organize into packs, defending each other from predators. Others fall into the hands of roaming gangs who use them as runners, lookouts, or worse. Childhood is now a resource to be exploited or weaponized. You hear stories of children being traded for supplies. No one wants to believe them, but everyone knows they are true. You enter a library one evening, seeking shelter. Inside, you find a young boy sleeping beneath a collapsed bookshelf, clutching a battered picture book. He stirs as you approach, his eyes wide with fear. You kneel slowly and ask his name. He does not answer. Instead, he holds out the book like a shield. On the cover is a drawing of a smiling sun and a dog in a cape. A story meant to teach kindness. Now, a relic from a time when stories were just that. Stories, not survival guides. You leave a small pouch of dried berries beside him and back away. He watches you go, unsure whether you are friend or threat. That uncertainty, that permanent suspicion, is now embedded in every child's soul. They are growing up without heroes, without dreams, without a future to aspire toward. And when they become adults, what kind of world will they build? One shaped by fear and hunger, one where love is weakness and kindness is a gamble. The children of the collapse are not just survivors. They are the blueprint for what comes next. The longer the world remains broken, the further away childhood fades. With every passing day, the concept of joy, safety, and learning becomes foreign. These young eyes will never look at the world the same way again. And when they grow up, they will remember everything. The betrayals, the hunger, the sounds of their parents weeping when there was nothing left to give. You close your eyes that night and think about the children you passed. The girl with the teddy bear, the boy with the picture book, the pack of knife-carrying orphans who never blinked. You realize that even if you survive the days ahead, even if your body endures, your heart may not. Because witnessing the death of innocence is a wound that never heals. But as families crumble and children are forced to grow up overnight, the larger structures of civilization collapse even faster. Governments vanish, militaries fracture, and power is seized not by votes, but by force. Let us now explore what happens when nations fall and warlords rise. It is day 21. The broadcasts have stopped. The politicians have gone silent. For a few days, national leaders tried to maintain control, releasing carefully worded videos from heavily guarded bunkers, promising that financial systems were being rebuilt, that peace would be maintained, that aid was coming. But as the days dragged on with no recovery, those messages became fewer, shorter, more desperate. Now they are gone altogether. What remains are the last blurry transmissions shared across closed networks. Frantic ministers begging for calm. Security officials reporting mutiny. Prime ministers admitting they cannot pay even their own bodyguards. And just like that, countries stop functioning. Flags still wave, but no one salutes them. You begin to notice the signs in your own city. There are no more government vehicles patrolling the streets, no civil services, no public announcements. City halls are either abandoned or occupied by desperate citizens who have turned government buildings into shelters or fortresses. The military presence, once a symbol of order, is fractured. Some units have disbanded entirely. Others operate independently, forming rogue factions no longer tied to any chain of command. Soldiers who once wore uniforms now wear scavenged armor and carry weapons they maintain themselves. The line between soldier and warlord has vanished. A new map begins to form, not drawn by diplomacy, but by dominance. Cities become territories, each ruled by whoever has the most guns, the most food, the most people willing to fight. Local power structures emerge overnight. Some are former police commanders who convert their stations into heavily guarded zones. Others are organized crime syndicates who have transformed into paramilitary forces, offering protection in exchange for loyalty. You hear names whispered in fear, leaders who were nobodies before the collapse, now holding entire districts hostage with threats of violence and starvation. One day, you pass a town square that used to host farmers' markets and music festivals. Now it is draped in the colors of a militia, calling itself the Coalition of Safety. Men in mismatched uniforms stand watch on the rooftops with sniper rifles. A hand-painted sign reads, "Obey or leave." You ask what they demand. A woman tells you, food, bodies for labor, allegiance. Those who refuse are exiled or worse. There are no elections here, no debates, only hierarchy built on firepower. And this is just one zone of many. Across the country, similar factions form with different names, but identical methods control the essentials, dominate the people. Even the idea of nationality begins to dissolve. Borders no longer matter. Airports are graveyards for rusting planes. Ports sit idle, full of rotting cargo. The globalized world that once thrived on trade and mutual treaties is now shattered into hyperlocal cells of power. Some regions shut themselves off entirely, refusing all outsiders, enforcing borders with armed patrols and shoot-and-sight orders. Others attempt diplomacy, trading food for medicine or protection in exchange for access to clean water. But these alliances are fragile, built on immediate need, not trust. You hear of one surviving government enclave a few hundred miles away, supposedly still operational, still issuing paper IDs and ration tickets. But reaching it means crossing multiple zones held by rival factions, each with their own rules, checkpoints, and hunger. The risk is immense. Most who try never return. You decide to stay put, to observe, to endure. Then one morning, you wake to a new flag hanging from your building's rooftop. A group calling themselves the Civic Front has taken over your neighborhood. They patrol with discipline, distribute food in limited rations, and post strict curfews. On the surface, it feels like order has returned, but behind the facade is control. You are told where to go, what to wear, when to speak. Dissenters are taken away for retraining. Some never come back. You realize that what replaced your country is not a government. It is a regime formed not by votes, but by vacuum. The military, once a national force, is now a patchwork of mercenaries, private militias, and splinter cells. Some try to uphold humanitarian values, offering aid in exchange for peace. Others operate like raiders, plundering towns for supplies, leaving chaos in their wake. You cannot tell the difference until it is too late. Camouflage means nothing now. Uniforms are just costumes for whoever has bullets to spare. And so, you sit by candlelight, watching as your society fractures into 1,000 competing kingdoms, each ruled by different ideologies, all enforced by violence. There is no president, no parliament, no constitution, only decrees, threats, and survival. The nations have fallen. What rises in their place is something older, more brutal, and far more dangerous. With civilization shattered and power seized by force, the final illusion collapses. The belief that humans are inherently civilized. What happens next is not governance, it is regression. Let us now step into the primitive world that emerges, where humanity begins again from the dirt. It is day 28. You no longer think in hours. You think in heat, in hunger, in movement. You have not spoken to another person in 2 days. Your home was taken twice. The last time you escaped out the fire escape with only a water bottle, a flashlight, and a bundle of dry rice tied inside your shirt. The streets are no longer recognizable. not because of destruction, but because time has erased them. Without working electricity, streetlights are dead, roads are broken, GPS does not function. Buildings once lit with advertisements and neon now stand hollow like skeletons, stripped bare by scavengers. You sleep under overpasses, behind dumpsters, sometimes in storm drains if the rats are not too bold. The cities are thinning. People are fleeing to the edges, to forests, to rivers, to farmland, anywhere they think they can start over. But nature does not wait for permission. People die in the cold. They drink contaminated water. They eat spoiled food. You pass a man boiling weeds in a cracked pot over a trash fire, his ribs sharp under his skin. He offers you a sip, and you take it, knowing it might make you sick. But your stomach is hollow, and the ache inside you is louder than caution. There is no more room for being civilized. You reach the outskirts, abandoned suburbs, overtaken by vines and silence. Here, people live like ghosts, tents made from tarps and shower curtains, fishing wire strung between trees to catch animals. A woman is skinning a squirrel with a rusted butter knife. She does not look up. You nod and keep walking. You feel like an intruder in a world that forgot it ever had a digital heartbeat. Everyone here is feral, not evil, not mad, just reduced. Reduced to what humans were before society, before money, before cities, hunters, gatherers, survivors. A man shows you how to make a solar still to purify water using nothing but a plastic sheet and a bowl. A former biology teacher now turned camp elder. He trades knowledge for labor. He has 3 books wrapped in plastic bags, one about edible plants, one about first aid, and one about basic shelter building. He guards them more than he guards his firewood. You offer him your last protein bar, and in exchange, he teaches you how to identify which bark can stop diarrhea. This is education now, trial, trade, and firelight. You meet a girl no older than 15 who can start a fire in under a minute with sticks and dryer lint. Her father died 2 weeks ago, and now she moves between camps, trading fire starting for dried meat. She sleeps with a blade under her coat and never eats in the same place twice. She is one of the lucky ones. Many kids her age are either dead or lost, swallowed by violence, by disease, by the woods. There are no schools, no rites of passage, only the raw test of staying alive one more week. There is no longer electricity, not in any consistent form. Some off-grid communities have salvaged solar panels, but they are rare and closely guarded. You hear rumors of a group deep in the mountains who run a wind turbine and have built a system of signals using mirrors and Morse code. But to find them, you must walk through 3 days of woods, cross rivers, and avoid the patrols of a nomadic raider gang. You think about going, but you are too weak. Your shoes are falling apart. Your knees ache. You are not the person you were a month ago. That version of you died when the bank balance hit 0. You realize that without systems, infrastructure, or logistics, survival has regressed to pre-civilization levels. There is no internet, no centralized power, no government protection. Hunting, foraging, scavenging. This is the economy now. The sick are left behind. The injured are either healed by luck or buried quietly at night. People do not talk about hope anymore. They talk about firewood. They talk about bandits. They talk about calories. In this new world, food is status, fire is power, and shelter is a dream. You do not dream anymore. When you sleep, it is out of necessity, not peace. Your hands are blistered from carrying water. Your clothes smell of smoke and sweat and dirt. You no longer brush your teeth. You bathe only when it rains. You are no longer part of society. You are not even part of a city. You are part of the earth now, wild, exhausted, and invisible. And in your exhaustion, you begin to forget what day it is, what your job used to be, what it felt like to have a name. You are not surviving as who you were. You are surviving as what you have become, just another animal, scratching out existence on the bones of a world that once thought itself indestructible. But even the strongest animals wear down. Now, stripped of everything, you are left with one final truth. This world was never built to keep you alive without money. Let us now face the inevitable conclusion, why you will not survive. It is day 30. You are still breathing, but you no longer call it living. Your body has become thin, your movements slow, your thoughts muddy from dehydration and hunger. You sit beneath a collapsed billboard that once advertised a luxury apartment complex. The image is faded, peeling, but still readable. Live better, live rich. You let out a dry laugh. You used to believe in that, in upward mobility, in earning, in saving, in winning. But now you understand something far darker. You were never meant to survive the collapse. None of us were. The systems we trusted were designed to serve stability, not chaos. And when money disappeared, so did your future. You once had insurance policies, savings accounts, an emergency fund. You had a credit score, a resume, a LinkedIn profile. You played by the rules. You showed up to work, paid your bills, helped your neighbors, planned for retirement. But those things only mattered inside a system that no longer exists. When every balance hit zero, when the foundation cracked, your good intentions turned into dead weight. The world did not reward preparation. It rewarded brutality. Those who hoarded, those who dominated, those who stopped asking for permission. You were not built for this. Not because you are weak, but because you were civilized. You learned to follow laws. You believed in fairness. You trusted banks, governments, employers. Now, in the vacuum left behind, you are trying to apply social contracts to a lawless world. But the streets do not care about fairness. The markets of today are firelit gatherings where food is traded for loyalty and kindness is seen as weakness. Your ability to negotiate or network is meaningless when someone larger and hungrier decides they want what you have. Your body has also turned against you. Without medicine, old injuries flare up. Without nutrients, your teeth loosen, your joints ache, your immune system weakens. A single scratch becomes an infection. A cough becomes a threat. You are tired all the time, and sleep, once a refuge, has become dangerous. People have been killed in their sleep for less than a bottle of water. So now you sleep light, if at all. And each day you wake up with a little less clarity, a little less energy, and a little more dread. You have made trades, some of which haunt you. You have lied to desperate people to protect your own meager supplies. You have watched others die and walked away, knowing that helping them would have killed you, too. You have felt guilt, then buried it, because guilt is useless out here. Survival does not allow for mourning. It only demands that you keep moving, keep breathing, keep consuming, just enough to make it to the next sunrise. But today, as you sit beneath the billboard and your stomach growls against your will, you understand that even that is no longer enough. The world has not rebuilt. There is no recovery plan. The rich did not emerge from bunkers to restore balance. The military did not retake control. The dollar did not come back. There is no new currency, only power, and those willing to wield it. You see a caravan pass on the nearby road, vehicles armored with scrap metal, flying a banner of some gang you do not recognize. They do not stop. They do not look at you. You are not even worth robbing. You are invisible now, a ghost with a heartbeat. And as night falls again, cold creeping into your bones, you feel the truth settling in. You will not survive this, not because you are weak, but because the world that raised you, educated you, and promised you a future has been erased. Your tools are useless, your education irrelevant, your values incompatible. You were born in a world of rules, and you are dying in one ruled by the absence of them. You remember laughter, streetlights, streaming music, grocery bags filled with options, and you know, with bone-deep certainty, that none of it is coming back. But perhaps you are not truly gone, not yet, because if you are watching this from a time before it all fell apart, then you still have something rare warning. The collapse has not come yet. If you are still watching, still breathing in a world where the lights come on when you flip a switch, where your phone still pings with updates from your bank, where grocery shelves are full and quiet music hums through cafe speakers, then you are lucky. You are living in a fragile miracle. But now you have seen what happens when that miracle breaks. When the digital scaffolding, the economic fiction, the illusion of control all vanish in a blink. You have walked through a world of smoke and silence, of children who never knew peace, of cities that rotted from the inside out the moment money died. And in doing so, you have seen the true cost of our dependence, our blindness, our belief that something as artificial as currency could forever hold together something as chaotic as human civilization. This world was never stable. It was only balanced on algorithms, supply chains, social trust, and invisible debts. And when that balance breaks, you will not rise, you will fall. Not because you are unprepared, but because the very rules of survival will have changed overnight. And the people who survive will not be the ones with the most money, but the ones who know how to live without it. This is not a prophecy, it is a possibility, and it begs the question, if the world woke up tomorrow with every wallet emptied and every coin erased, would you know what to do next? Because if you do not, then you already know why you will not survive. If this journey shook something in you, if it made you question how close we live to the edge of collapse, then share this video. Let someone else walk through this nightmare before it becomes reality. Subscribe for more immersive explorations into the fragile threads holding our world together. Comment below. What would you do on day one if all money vanished? Do you have a plan, or would you be swept into the storm like the rest? This is not just entertainment. It is warning, reflection, and preparation. And next time, the collapse we imagine might be your reality.